You're already recording, right?
Yeah. I think so.
All right. Welcome to the Collective Dream Podcast. Back with another episode with my good friend and longest tenured human being that I've known in this area, right? Howie Rizzio from Awakened Ave. Yeah, our last podcast we did the same.
That's when we were kind of like launching it.
Yeah, we were launching it. So now we're back, and I want to give everybody a nice update on what you got on the horizon, what you've been doing since you launched Awakened Ave, because we didn't really talk about your tent, your whole tent thing, and then where you're going to head now. So we got quite a bit to talk about, and we'll try to squeeze it in like a good hour or so. Yeah. But I want to do this because you're kicking off this big trip. But tell us what you've been up to since the last episode with your launch of your page, and it's really doing really well, and I'm really proud of you. It's I knew it would, so go ahead. I knew it would. I know.
Yeah, it's well, first of all, it's not me, right? I mean, you know, and it's crazy because you know, I think so. I guess the last we talked, I was kind of I lost a good friend, right, and to addiction, and you know, it kind of was going through a moment in my life where, you know, I'm in long-term recovery, and I was kind of, you know, engrossed in helping people or whatever, you know, that platform dictates. I kind of have my unique way of saying, like, I don't really help anybody, you know, I just kind of try to point people, because it's always about self-reflection, man, you know, it's self-realization. So I guess it would be like I try to point people to where they can pull it out of themselves that they already have,
we
right?
save ourselves.
So it really has little to do with me, but you know, and we say those things, and I know it does what's the outcome, but you know, we try a lot harder. You know,
we do.
You know, so so I lost a friend, and you know, I think we talk about it a lot, how I try to listen to my inside voice and like quiet the noise and follow intuition, you know, and that's what intuition means. It's like inner knowing, inner knowledge, right? And but my friend had written me, you know, he kind of relapsed, and a beautiful kid too, man. He was doing so well, and he kind of relapsed, and he wrote me this message, and he said, you know, he apologized. I'm sorry for relapse and being selfish, but he's like, I love you, man. I would follow you anywhere. You need to do more. Maybe start a YouTube channel or a blog, right? Yeah. And then he passed like 2 weeks later, and then actually I found him. I had to, you know, kick in his door, and so I kind of looked at it as a sign that, you know, maybe I'm supposed to start a YouTube channel. You're one of the people I met with, and so what's crazy is I still don't know what I'm doing, right?
I got interjected. You've done it. You've taken it where I thought you would, because I knew you'd start to have fun with it. Yeah. I knew you'd get back to the kid in you. I told you that. And you got back in the kid in you, and you were just starting to do it. Even though not any ounce of fiber in your being, like you said on the last podcast, you know, that you wanted to do this, but you had to be inspired by something that happened, that was an event that occurred in your life. And I agree, and I believe that we all agreed to this life that we live, and so you and him had agreement that, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to tap out, but I'm going to hand off the baton to you to go ahead and finish the message, finish the story, and build Awaken Ave. And it's been, and you got over 1,000 subscribers already.
Well, no, I'm not there yet. I'm like 850 or something.
Yeah, but all the people on social media, it's ridiculous.
Man,
you get a lot, dude. You get a lot.
One of my reels hit 10,000 views.
I know. But that's
crazy.
But that's what it's all about. So you're getting almost to 1,000 on YouTube, which is really good for
in a couple months. So you know, well, we all said that when I kind of felt moved to do this, like I always try to keep myself in check, right? To let me know that it's not really egoic, or I'm not trying to become somebody, you know. So like I got some people together, including you, that I respected, and I remember that one of the first, I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or should we be talking head style? Should it be interview style? Like, and the only thing that that everybody kind of agreed on was I needed to start releasing content and get comfortable on camera, whatever that is.
Bingo.
And that's what I'm still doing. So there's not really like this this big how we plan, right? It is like, but it's crazy how like things just unfold anyway, you know. So right around the time when I did the YouTube channel and started doing that, and trying to figure out video, and you know,
your opening, because you were doing your opening.
Oh yeah,
because it was hard,
scripted.
Yeah. The first one was like so scripted, and I said, but that's okay though, because you're gonna transmute that script, and you're gonna take the script, and you're gonna have it internally from now on, and so now you don't need it no more. So now it just dissolves.
So I've always had a gift, I guess. Like, talk about knowing our strengths and our weaknesses, right? Yeah. Like I've always known that, like, I have a unique way of speaking and communicating and seeing things, and the way I present them has always been, gets people's attention, right? But and I think that's why Steven, had kind of told me I needed to do more to get my message out there, but I didn't know how to do this in front of a camera. It's like easy to go off key. Right, it's easy for you and me to sit down and say, like, hey, tell me about this. But, like, for me to actually bring a message and, like, to sit down and think about it, it's like, so what I've done since that time, since I progressed, I just turn the camera on and I start talking. And then I figure out a topic from afterward, right? Like, it's like, there's no script, there's, like, no, like, it's how I feel moved to say something. I come on. And then I figure out, like, how to afterward, but it's usually one take these days. And I trust the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, and that this is where it's the right message.
Because and the message comes from not scripting it. Because then after you do the video, you listen to it and you go, oh, that's the perfect title for it. Because you're already giving it a title while you're doing it. And I learned that from doing the TGI Now podcast, which is the other podcast I do with two other partners. And that's how it came about. Was like we weren't scripting the podcast. We were doing it. We'd have a subject matter, but I'd pull the title and the premise of the podcast as we recorded. That's what I do basically, like we're doing now. Like I know what we're going to talk about, but we kind of prepped a little bit earlier when we had coffee, and and for the folks that are watching,
if you call that prep, it's like a conversation.
But to me, while we were having the conversation at the coffee shop, shout out to Rich at the Valhalla Vape Coffee and Kava. But when we were having the conversation, all I could think of was like, this is the script for what we're going to do later on today. In the Zen.
Just unfolds, man.
Exactly.
It just unfolds.
Yeah, and we're in the Zen Den today too, which is another studio I have in the house, which is an area where we just be. It has just be on it. We got a little Alan Watts quotes and Stay Human. But for the folks that are watching the video on Howard's Awaken Ab channel, this will be on Spotify for the Collective Dream podcast. So just want to give everybody an idea. But getting back to your channel, number one, I love the name of it. When you told me the name, I was like, perfect. Like I could just see how it just flowed. Your logo's looking fantastic. I love the back of the thing you're doing. I just like the progress of what you're doing, because I see myself doing it with the other podcasts that I do, but you're taking it to a newer level, and I think that the engagement you're getting is a big part of it. I think that's what I get out of doing these podcasts, is the engagement of people to stop you around town, or they send you a message or whatever. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, that's really cool, man. I mean, I think you were always kind of surprised that, like, so I kind of live my life pretty simply, man. Like, I live down in the tent, right? It's
we'll get into that too.
Yeah, so it's like. But I kind of follow that inside voice, and you start to sit here and say, like, well, if I'm supposed to do the YouTube channel, then how am I, because it's all about me being a servant, right? So, like, I can serve in the recovery setting, I can serve my family and the people around me, and I can be there for them, and it's what I can contribute to others, not about me. Mm-hmm. But then if I'm starting this channel, and it's so crazy, man, like, because you always learn something, right? The people that you think will support you, like, their silence kind of speaks a little bit. It's like
1,000% on that one.
And it's like, they look at you like you're crazy a little bit. And,
believe me, I know with the TGI Now podcast. Believe me, I get a lot of that.
But the magic in it is, like, then they weren't the ones that needed to hear the message, right? Yeah. Like, it always finds those people. So I take a lot of time, like, there's a lot of, I respond to every single message. And I know that's unsustainable.
Yeah.
But I respond to every message or comment that I get, and some of them are encouraging. Some of them are like, there's a friend. I built this relationship with this guy already in New York, right? Yeah. Like, and when I was living in the tent, he kind of wrote me a message, like, he'd been walking for like 3 months, backpacking for like 3 months. Him and his girlfriend broke up, and he went for a walk, and she OD'd while he's on this walk, right? and me and him have actually communicated a lot.
Yeah,
like he's actually helped me a lot. Like, you know, my message resonated with him, and like, but we've communicated a lot, and it's just it's magical because you realize like this is where we're supposed to be. I was supposed to meet him. Not that I'm some teacher, right? I'm always a student. Yeah. He has something I have something to learn. Everybody has something to teach me, right? Yeah. And so that stuff, you're like, man, I hate to say this, but if my friend never died, if he never wrote me that message, and I didn't start a YouTube channel, and I'm not sitting here today, I wouldn't have met these people that, you know, have reached out. I wouldn't be doing the trail.
No.
You know, like,
and you think about that, but then at the same time, you look at it and go, well, your friend really didn't die, because energy only doesn't die, it only transforms. So then you once you realize that, you go, oh, I see what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, you know, and that's... it is easy to say that for me and where I'm at, but like he still had a family and children, and like, you know, so it's like, 100%. But it is, you know, it's this crazy thing. It's like, you know, he comes up to me in the recovery. I didn't even know he existed, and he's like, he goes, hey, do you sponsor people because you didn't raise your hand? And I go into my little. I don't like the word sponsor.
Wow. You noticed that you didn't raise your hand.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't never raise my hand because if I trust God, like this is just me. If I trust God, will put the people in my path that are supposed to be in my path.
And that not for me to be a teacher. Proved it to you.
Yeah. So, but you know, and that's always happened. People still find me, right? Yeah. But it's after the fact when you really realize, like, was he coming up to ask me for help, or was he coming up to teach me something I needed to learn, right? And it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. I agree. I agree.
So it's like, you know, yeah. I mean, he taught me a lot, and I'm where I'm at because of that relationship. So it's like, I'm doing the things I'm doing because of that relationship. So it's like, you know, it's beautiful, it's tragic, it's a human story, right? It's beautiful, tragic, it's divine, right? It's magical.
It's your dream and the collective dream, and that's what we always like to look at. That's your magical dream. That's part. He was a part of it. You guys agreed to it before you came here. That he would do this for you at the end and give you that gift. Because it's a gift before you go. That's the thing. It's beautiful.
But it's all a gift. It's just whether or not I'm aware of it.
Before, a lot of times we weren't aware. That's the thing. You know, we weren't. That's why we come full circle like we do. You know, that's the parts where we go through the trials and tribulations of you going through addiction and going into jail and dealing with all these things. And now you're sitting here in front with me. We've known each other since 1986 in this house in a podcast talking about this. And talking about your next journey after the Awaken Ab, then you embarked on a couple of different things. Then you're going to go take it even to a farther thing with your travel in the Appalachian Trail, which we'll get to. Appalachian.
That woman's going to hunt me down, man.
You learn.
I'm in West Virginia. She's going to hunt me down.
Because they take offense to that. You know, I get it. You know, because I mean, I never thought about doing it, and you know, now you're thinking about doing it. But let's go back to your experience starting the channel and then going into the whole getting rid of all your stuff and then doing the whole tent thing. Like it evolved into that so quickly, because I remember when you started the channel, you're like, hey man, I got something else I'm going to do. I think I'm going to live in a tent for like 60 days.
Yeah, it was kind of, and it came out like kind of awkwardly.
It did, and I was like, oh shit.
Because there was no plan and no formulation.
No, and you just started the channel. I'm like, well, how's he going to do the channel? And then tries to live in a tent. I'm like, I don't know if that's good. But then I realized, you know what? No, it makes total sense, because now it's gonna give you content. It's gonna give you more of an experience.
Yeah, and I probably didn't take advantage of it. Well, because I don't have any attachment to even the YouTube.
Yeah.
It is like, and you know, and it's a beautiful journey when you're trying to figure it all out at once, and but you really, you know, you're pot committed, but you're like, it's okay either way, right? If nobody watches, if 1 billion people watch, guess what? Howard Rizzo is still going to be the same, right?
Exactly. That's what I loved about it. That's why I would show Richie, my brother. I was showing him some videos, and I was like, "Look at Riz. Riz is living in the tent out there,
just bringing it."
And I was like, oh my God. And I showed the video with the rain, and then the tent got all full of the water. You're like, and then you made a front porch, you made a little stoop, and I'm like, wow,
and look at the irony of where it's, and I guess we need to tell, of where it's kind of went to now. Like, it's perfect experience for what I'm doing next. Right? Like,
exactly.
And you couldn't write this.
Yeah, no, you couldn't, because when you brought it to me, and you told me you were going to do it. You're like, I'm going to live in a tent, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I guess. And I'm like, I guess it'll work. I don't know. But then it makes total sense, because this is where your journey's taking you. Because, like anything else, it all starts now. Just everything starts at this very moment. There is no future. There is no past. It's just right here. And so when you're doing the work in the now, you really know how to, do the practice to get to where you're going to go, and that's what it comes down to. And that was practice. And you recorded, you documented, you got receipts, and now you're going to go, oh shit, now I'm going to do this next step, and it's all part of that channel, because the channel started really,
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing, and this goes for me too. So there's never any judgment towards other people, right? This is my experience. It's like, I can say, and I've realized this a lot lately, I could say I trust myself and my intuition, right? I've learned how to trust and listen to that inside voice, intuition, and inspired. What does inspired mean? It means in spirit, right? And so it's in spirit that I was to do a YouTube channel, and then intuition, inner knowing says like, I say things like I could be happy or content in any situation regardless of the circumstance. And somebody asked me, like, what are you gonna do? I was actually dating a girl in Orlando, and she's like, what are you gonna do when your lease is up? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, doesn't matter to me. I'd be happy in a tent, right? And then
there it was.
And then here I go. I'm like, well, maybe I'll move into a tent, and I'll try 60 days, right? And I'll do a little 60 days in, and like, and literally I gave away all my stuff, and I mean I gave away my bedroom set, my televisions, my living room. I don't watch TV anyway. My living room set, my washer dryer, my air conditioner, my bathroom, right? Like, and I move on to a tent, like not knowing what I was doing. Right. Some people ask me, "What are you doing living in a tent?" I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe I want to be, because I say this too. I want to be a light to others, not a megaphone, right? Yeah. I want to show people, not tell people. Yeah. You could change your life, because telling people doesn't do anything, right?
Especially nowadays.
So it's like maybe that's the purpose, and it just kind of unfolded, man. And I did more than 60 days. I did.
Yeah, you did like 75 days.
And I wouldn't still been there, but But a lot of people don't like us transient people living on their land, man. And
move on.
My first day, like I'm all set up. My friends are gonna let me live on their land, and and the neighbors didn't want me there, and they run me off, man. Code enforcement, and before I even went out there, but a friend did, allow me to camp on the back of his acreage, and I would have probably, dude, it was such a cool ride, man. It was like, never once did I have to will myself to be out there, like, or I wish I was in a comfy bed. It was like, it was so cool, man, and the freedom that I got, man. And,
I loved how you did it. I loved how you had it all set up. And for those that are watching now, go back to Howie's old videos, and check out the tent living videos. And just how you had your stuff set up, your shoes, and then it rained and you had to move the stuff in, and then you built a porch, and even the dog seemed to like enjoy it. The dog was like, "Oh, we're home, all right." I was like, wow, this is pretty fucking wild that it would just work out this way. I was like, the dog adapted. It was just like you just saw it all naturally just come together, even though there were some trials and tribulations. Obviously, there was a pretty bad rainstorm.
Yeah, a couple, man.
Yeah, it was.
People would call me, they're like, "You okay?
Yeah,
you come here."
It was unseasonable rain too. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, it's like pouring out. I'm like, we don't get that rain now. It's springtime, and it was like pouring then. But
I'm in my early 50s, right? I never felt more alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and it is simple. It's like, less is always more, right? And those cliches make sense, right? And it's like, I've been on this journey of letting go of attachments anyway, and not just material things, but more importantly, like, standing in the community, or ego, and
you were doing all that. We talked about it last podcast. About real estate and Sebastian and the whole nine.
So that little journey taught me a lot, man. It taught me a lot. It taught me that even though it gave me the experience of saying, like, not only can I be okay with less, I can thrive, man. You know what I mean? Like, and then you start thinking about our comforts of home are they a prison? Yeah. You know, like,
believe me,
I've
been here 20 years.
They call them comforts, right? And you don't want to leave the comfort of your. So the tent was uncomfortable. Yeah. But it was like I did more. I was in nature more. I was out more. I was meeting people more. I was talking to people. I was engaging because there was nothing to keep me.
You were moving. Yeah. Right? It's like, I noticed that there was a couple times you were at the river doing videos, and I'm like, oh, he's going for walks, and so you weren't staying there and just constantly just sitting there twiddling your thumbs and going, this is great, man. You know, it was just, I'm going to go out during the day because I can. I'm still mobile. I'm still a free and sovereign being that can travel throughout travel. And I'm not confined to just the tent. And then I'm going to go cruise around and go check out stuff and experience, like you said, go somewhere, have something to eat. Somebody comes up to you, the girl that worked at the restaurant came up to you and said, hey, I'm following your stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful moments, man. Yeah. Like, and it, it's like, our houses are our most significant financial burden on most of us, right? We want to enjoy the comforts of our home. So, and then that becomes our prison sometimes, and it's when you don't have that attachment, man, the whole world opens up.
Yeah. And I look, I've been here for 20 years, so I mean, obviously, I've had that type of situation. But at the same time, it's it's comfort for my kid. But I always look at it as when I'm gone, when I'm not here, it doesn't exist. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. When I'm out and about, when I'm with you at the coffee shop, and we're talking about the podcast. Hey, let's do a podcast. And I say, hey, let's meet at the house later tonight, and let's do a part 2 of your Awakened Ab. The house doesn't exist. The room doesn't exist. We could have did the podcast right in the coffee shop. If I had the mic or whatever, we could have done it right there. But I wanted to come here and do it here because it's a spot where it's that type of, I've made this with creation of our thoughts and our minds to use it for that process. So who would have thought we'd have been doing this 35 years ago?
Yeah, and listen, it is...
Right.
I was in the wheel, man.
I know.
I didn't look like this my whole life. I was engrossed in achievement and success, and it's so uncharacteristic of me. Especially the last, I don't know how many years, but at least the last year and a half has been really like this. The last 9 years or so, man. The last at least. 7, 6 has been, the tattoos and changing appearance, and even now I've never had long hair.
Yeah, you have the long hair and the beard.
The beard, didn't even think I could grow a beard.
So if you didn't live in a tent, you wouldn't know if you could grow a beard.
And it's like the universe is trying to tell me too that maybe that I need to let go of my appearance issues and trying to present a certain image to people and because we could still do that subtly, right? Like we could still
be presentable and you represent yourself. I have tattoos now. I didn't have these for like the last 10 years,
And ego is subtle anyway. You could say it. I'm done. I'm not rebellious, but I'm done conforming. I'm gonna be authentic, right? I'm going to get tattoos. I'm going to stop trying to present an image to other people, but then you're just presenting an image to the other side of the room.
100%. Yeah, that's it. So either way, you can't win. Like you were saying before at the coffee shop.
It's a paradox, man.
Either way, you can't win. One way or the other. But one thing I do know is that we can stay center. And that's what we have to always get back to. Either when we lean one way or the other, we recognize it and go, you know what, I got to get back to center. I'm leaning too much this way.
Neutral, man. I call it neutral.
I call Sal Alan Watts. One of probably my biggest mentor when it comes to
me too. Very instrumental.
Very instrumental. Yeah, I wish I could have a conversation with the guy some days, but you can because we have technology. Because he was smart enough to do kind of what we're doing, putting it in perpetuity to talk about it. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be listening.
That inner knowledge you have, just what he has too, right?
He was like, tape recorder. I'll just press play, record, and I'll just record what I'm saying, and then who knows where it'll end. And now it's all over the internet. It's all over this room. Alan Watts, influence, but we learned that, and it took us a long time to get to that point. But it's the journey, like you said. Some people awaken at a lot younger age because of circumstances. Sometimes we don't. We have to go through the whole gamut of the the being a certain image, like you said, a persona, like Alan Watts says, which is how to be a genuine fake. So I mean, that's a big part of it, and that's why, this podcast started, because of the collective dream, and, everybody has their own story, their own dream, and people come into it like your friend did, and then left it, just like everything else. It's just they come in, even loved ones that come into our lives, and then they leave it suddenly, and you're like, oh shit, why did that happen so quick? Why did that happen? This shouldn't happen that way. But then you realize that it really did, and you wrote the story before you came here. You wrote those characters into your story, and that's what I realized. Just like us, we wrote those characters, each other's character into our story. When I moved here 7 years ago, I was like, I need somebody that's going to show me around in Sebastian. So let me pencil Howie in, and then later on we're going to do a podcast.
And when you really look at the grand scheme of things, and you see there are no mistakes, there are no coincidences, right? Everything is, and I don't want to get into whether there's free will or predeterminism, right? Yeah. But it is a beautiful choreography when you can look at everything has led us to where we're at, right? And I think the only thing that I really, if I ever want to, do in my life, my sole purpose of living today, right, is to show other people that you can absolutely, you can have what I have, we can have what the Buddha had, or Christ consciousness, or enlightenment. It is attainable for all of us, right? 100%. And it doesn't matter what you've been through and how all the hardships we've been through. Everybody is capable, and you don't have to pay somebody for it. Nope. You have it right there at your fingertip.
You don't need a prescription.
So
it's there.
It's not fighting for it. It's not trying harder. It is letting go of that, and it's everything you think it's not, man. It is. It's a complete surrender, abandoning yourself to, or what you think you are.
Yeah, and then like you did, you abandoned everything and went into a tent. That's just another stage of that, just letting it all go. It takes a lot to do that. I could just about picture me getting rid of all the stuff I have in this house, selling this house, and saying, I'm going to live in a tent. See you, Quinn. And just doing it. I can see myself doing it, but not in this moment. But again, you have to be moved to do it. Would you say in spirit?
Yeah, inspired or intuitively know, exactly. Right? And so I say it a lot, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. When somebody comes across my mind, I should call that person, right? And I tell everybody, if you think of somebody you haven't thought of for a while, how about giving a call? That's the universe or yourself or God, or however that's consciousness trying to tell you need to learn something, or they need you, or whatever the case may be. So maybe it's nothing, but I try to trust that. And the same thing, happened with the 10. It was I suddenly blurted it out, and then it came across my mind. I was like, well, that wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't have anywhere else to go anyway. Do 60 days and see what happens, and that's spun me into this.
Then we're gonna get into that.
It spun me into this next journey, right? It is that is so well written, but it wasn't planned. None of this stuff was planned, man. It is just trusting that.
It is. It's crazy, man. So tell me a little bit about what this next phase is. So you packed up the tent, you moved off the property, and you're like, all right. And as you're doing the tent thing, you're thinking, what am I going to do next? Am I going to do something else? Am I going to take a road trip? So where did that lead you?
So Howard's grand plan, right? Howard's grand plan was okay. I said, well, maybe I'll get a van, and I did a little bit. So when I moved off the property, I. So kind of the man. His name's Wayne, man. Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah,
I love you,
awesome,
man. And he allowed me to stay there, and then I wasn't ready to give it up,
right?
But I.
But you had.
It was time. But that too. It's time, right? It's not the only thing that's constant is change, and it's I needed to change and shift. So I'm gonna do. I was maybe I'll get a van and I'll transition to some van life. And for a little while, I did some car camping. I was living out of my car, and I didn't have to do any of this. I had income. I had enough money to. I know people. It was totally by choice.
You can live with the Zen Den if you want.
Yeah. So I was researching bands and just doing that whole thing, and then suddenly just I didn't know again. $5,000 band, $100,000 band. I was looking all over the spectrum, right? And I'm like, you know what? I wish I could just stay in the tent. The weather's great, and I suddenly came across my heart. Just like the tent camping did, just like inspired intuitively. I said, well, man, it's only like they usually do that Appalachian Trail in like spring. Yeah. Maybe, and I know zero about the Appalachian Trail, zero about outdoor living.
Well, no, not
other than that, 75 days in a tent.
You did 10 to 10, so
but it was like a 10-person tent. It was like glamping, right?
But it's more than I know, so you already did the practice. Yeah. So you're like, I never did a tent, so where can I live in a tent somewhere else where I won't have to leave the property? I can keep going.
I think I've been in the mountains once for about 2 hours, like driving up there, right? So I don't have like any mountain experience, no hiking experience, and but I suddenly said, you know what, maybe it came across my heart, and I trusted it. So I did this Google search, and I come across this Facebook page, and it's like Appalachian Trail 2024 or something like that, and I could put a link in the description or whatever, and I joined that, and I write a little. They ask you to introduce yourself or whatever, and I write this little blog about, hey, this is me. I'm on this crazy journey. I've lived in a tent. I'm not ready to give it up yet, and I'm in long-term recovery, and I've lost somebody, and and I got instantaneous. If you need more intuition, I got like 2,500 likes within a day, 700 comments of people that were just encouraging and sharing their testimonies and just and saying you don't need to have experience, just go do it, and I suddenly knew that was the next trip,
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So I've been preparing for that for about 6 weeks now, and I'm getting ready in the next couple of days to kind of step out on trail, and I'm still clueless. I haven't even exercised or walked around the block, but I'm going, man, because I trust that inside voice, man.
Yeah. So it's called the Appalachian Trail. Is the next venture.
Appalachia.
Appalachia. Okay, so Appalachia Trail.
Yeah.
And then so you start. Where do you start from?
So I'm gonna do a northbound, what they call a northbound hike, and it starts at Springer Mountain, Georgia, which is like northwest Georgia, I guess.
Okay.
And it's literally 2,197 miles to Mount Katahdin in Maine.
Wow.
So it's walking from Georgia to Maine. 14 states.
Wow.
And it's a long way, man.
Damn, dude.
But I know, this is where I'm supposed to be, because it's we talk about the synchronicities of life, seeing the signs and reading them, and and when you're really present in your life, those things are always there. What wanes our awareness to it, right?
Oh yeah,
when you are really present, it's just this beautiful knowing.
Yeah,
it's just this knowing, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy hiking. I don't know the plan. Yeah. I'm not trying to accomplish anything or get a trophy. I've been a Marine, I've been a cop, I've willed myself to. I don't need to prove anything to anybody, including myself, and certainly not nature. I'm not trying to conquer the trail, I just know I'm supposed to be there, and I don't know why I'm supposed to be there, and I'll know when I'm ready to know. I'll get realized, or I'll have a realization, because Howard doesn't realize anything, right? Yeah. It happens to me, man.
Exactly.
So
there was a guy on our TGN Out podcast named Jeff Dunstan, and he was called to do that too for some reason. And God had called he was to go out there, and he had a spiritual spiritual experience when he did it, and I think now thinking back and listening to his story of why he did it, and he didn't finish it the first time, and he went back, and when he went back, that was when he got the message. That's when he got the spirit. First time he was like, all right, this is it, and then he went back and finished it, the whole thing. So no matter what happens, that's what happened to him. The same thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, and here's the thing. I need to, I kind of feel like I want to share this with people because I have no. Of course, I always do my best. And I say this in every video I do. I always give 100% of the things that I really possess, my time, energy, and my focus, right?
Yeah.
So
time, energy, focus.
So I'm always going to try to be 100% present and give it my time, my energy, my focus, my conscious effort. So I'm going to go out there and do my absolute best. But if I make it 150 miles and like I intuitively know like my journey's over, that's okay, man. Like I don't need to,
no.
I don't.
What did we say at the coffee shop today? You said just like
Forrest Gump. It's like, if you ever see Forrest Gump, like he's running, like, and people are following him, like, and he's running for like 3 years, and then one day he's just like, I'm tired now. I think I'll go home, right? If that happens to me, I'm gonna be just like Forrest Gump. Like, I'm tired now. I think I'll go home.
So that's.
Everybody's like, what are we supposed to do now?
Exactly.
And he just goes home.
And that's it. Yeah, that's it. Because that was for that time. So you don't know. And that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. That it really is the beauty, man.
Is. I see that.
We suddenly want it. We always want it. I think Alan Watts even says it. He's like, everybody wants to know, right? It's like, what do you really want? Everybody's like, I don't even know what I want.
Yeah.
And he's like, but he says,
he's right.
If you really think about it, what you really, really want is a surprise.
Exactly.
But you want a good surprise. You don't want a crappy sandwich, man.
Yeah, you're right. He does say that.
So it's like we want.
Yeah.
Do we want power? Do we want love?
If we knew what it was, we wouldn't be surprised when we got there. That's why he always says that. It's not about when you dance, you don't get to the end of the dance. It's not the end. There is no end to the dance. You just keep moving. You keep doing it.
And it is really like, if we are human beings that don't know how to be, right? We should be called human doings.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you could put a task out in front of me like, gotta walk from Georgia to Maine, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's really good at like, I gotta accomplish this and getting things done and achievement, right? And like competing, right? Competition, like, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this degree, or I gotta get this job or this promotion, right? And we strive. We set a goal. We strive. We're good at that.
Yeah.
Where we suck is being a human being and just allowing things, right, and not having to do anything.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the journey today. It's like being comfortable, just being.
Just being, and Alan Watts says that too. Like, I'll be happy when I get the big job. I'll be happy when I get the big house. I'll be happy when I get the Ferrari. It's not. That's the least of it.
That's the illusion.
That's the illusion. 100%. I'll be happy when. And it's like, no, that's not the case. You have to just be in the moment now. And I learned a lot of that. And we have podcasts on the Collective Dream podcast about Alan Watts, that we talk about this stuff too. And I mean, that's a big part of you and I's journey, when we got back together and you started to show me different things about like the awakening process and the meditation. Like, I wasn't really meditating before. And then I was like, you showed me like, well, do this. And then it brought me to other things. It brought me to psychedelics. It brought me to a lot of different things because I had to start to go within. I had to go like this. And I started to have psychedelic experiences with my meditation. I would break out in tears and I'd be like sitting there meditating as Kashi Ranch in front of the Buddha. And I just like start crying for no reason, watching a snail walk across the rock and going, it's just a journey, the snail. And I was having psychedelic experiences and it wasn't even taking psychedelics, which is crazy. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then I had a squirrel show me a mushroom, and I was like, oh, I guess it's time for me to take the mushrooms. And that all happened to Kashi. It was crazy, and I was like, oh, maybe I should try a mushroom someday, and then I did, and I started doing mushrooms every once in a while, and I was like, oh shit. This is what I'm supposed to do now. I wasn't supposed to do it in 1987.
Yeah, well, the timing's always divine, right?
Exactly.
It's always perfect timing. Yeah. You're always in the right place at the right time, at the right moment, doing getting exactly
what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah.
So it's like, you talk about meditation and just how instrumental that was. And it's evolved over the time, right? It's like, I don't have to sit in a yoga position anymore, right? It's mindfulness. It's like constantly trying to be in meditation, right? And what does meditation mean? It means to know thyself, man. Like it's knowing thyself. It's self-reflection. It's always looking within and quieting the noise. And you know everything that you need to exist and thrive and prosper. Like, the divine is within you.
It's already there.
It's already there.
When you got here, it's always been there.
So there's nothing to learn. You don't have to read a bunch of books and like study, right? It is unlearning. It is unlearning. It is like, it is getting rid of like what you think you know and just emptying the vessel and allowing it to be filled up. Unlearning. With whatever. Not like, I want to be filled up with good news, you know, like it is.
No, it's whatever. It's whatever comes, because that's what it comes down to. It's whatever comes. Just like when you're going to do this trail, it's whatever comes. You know, like you said, you could stop. You might meet somebody, and just like, holy shit, like I didn't expect this to happen. You might like, I'm gonna stay in Maine. I made it all the way. I'm not coming back. You know. So
the journey is like for me to go out there, do the best I can to empty the vessel, and allow the people I meet, the trail, the nature, the animals to like. It's being the student, like what I hope I never walk around thinking I'm some teacher to tell. I always a student in life, right? Like a lot of people come to me and they ask me like spiritual questions or like things about certain philosophies or ideas or beliefs, right? And it's like, and I don't try to tell anybody anything. I always look at them as they're coming to me to teach me something that I need to be realized, like not as I'm some like what I know is nothing.
That's one thing I always say. I'll be talking to somebody about something. I'll be like, I did this, and this has helped me to awaken to things. But what do I know? I know nothing. That's what it comes down to.
Well, and what are we really like? What are we and I think I did a video on this too. Like, what are we as human beings, right? Like, and it's easy to say we're spiritual beings having a human. It's like, but what are we really like? Aren't we all really just a collection of memories and experiences, right? And like, and take away your body, you are just a collection of everything that's ever happened to you, right? Like, it's brought you to where you're at today and helped you survive, and like, and you're unique because nobody has the same experiences. And so that's how beautiful each individual is, right? It's like, and we're all trying to communicate what we are from our experiences. Really, we're all storytellers, right? And it's, we fall for the story we tell ourselves, and it's like, if you really want to change your life, change your story, man. It's like it is like so. You're a storyteller trying to tell the way John is from his life. Me too. But we're in the same place at the same exact time. We witness the same event, but because we have different experiences, we see it differently. 100%. It's the same event.
100%.
So who's right and who's wrong?
Just like what's going on in the world. Like some people see certain things with the COVID or whatever, and then some people see it differently. It's just a story. Like,
so if you're struggling out there and you're like, well, I'm this way because my parents or my life, or if you had my life, change the way you tell it, man. I'm this way because I was my parents and I became an alcoholic and I'm a drug addict, and now I'm like, thank God I was an alcoholic and a drug addict.
That's the victim. The other one, the one you're explaining, is the victim mentality. And you get rid of the victim mentality.
And what's really changed? Did I go through all that suffering? Absolutely.
100%.
What's changed? My story changed. The way I tell it's changed.
Exactly.
That's
a great way to put it. There's a podcast I listen to that talks about that exact same thing. You change the story. You don't tell the story from the victim mentality. You change it from the hero mentality. Like, oh, I went through this, and man, here I am today. And I'm just like, that's my story. And you don't look at it like because I'm like this because Alan Watts says all the time, like, I'm like this because my parents dropped me on my head when I was 2. Like, he just uses that example. And it's like you don't use that as that example. It doesn't matter. That's like you said, you change the story. It's a great way to put it. That's why in the introduction to this podcast, is this real or is this just a ride? And it's your story. You can change it anytime you want.
Well, and that's the whole jam. It's like, how do you want to experience this? Whether it's real, fake, simulation, Maya, flat Earth, round Earth, upside down, no Earth, right? We're here and you can't escape it. How do you want to experience it?
Exactly.
Do you want to enjoy it as best you can? Or do you want to sit there and be like, well, life sucks? And there's no judgment because I lived in that. You know what I mean? And how special and beautiful everybody is because, like, so I am uniquely qualified, right? to be an example to people that are suffering from addiction or alcoholism or like feeling like their life is meaningless.
Uniquely qualified.
Yeah, so it's like my experiences have brought me to say like I know what you're going through, man, right? And I could go help anybody, and that's okay. But like we talked about, I can't really go help somebody who's has cancer, right? That's not my experience. Right? I can help them, but I'm uniquely qualified because of the things I went through.
Exactly.
That's what makes me special, right? It's like that's what makes somebody else special. If you suffer from manic depression and you can change your story, then you can help people that are manically depressed, right? So we look at these things as defects or but they're not, man. They're not. Beethoven was deaf. Did he? Did he say like I can't play the piano because like I'm deaf, right? It's like no, man, that's his gift, dude. And John Frusciante talks about it. He's a guitarist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he has a beautiful message, man. But he talks about like Jimi Hendrix, right? Like we celebrate like these musicians, but it's not the musician. It's the imagination behind it. It's like the divine and everything, right? He's like, I don't play music for the accolades. Maybe the most beautiful music, the pinnacle of my music, and I'm absolutely alone. And it's just me playing, right? So it's, but he says like Jimi Hendrix had a difficult life. But maybe that difficult life is what made him to write such beautiful music and be able to play like that way.
Nobody else ever did.
Yeah, so it's like once you can look at saying like, and I have this quote that I kind of had modified or wrote. It's on my social media. I think my Facebook. It says when your greatest trauma becomes your greatest asset, you become invincible. Like when you can turn that trauma or fallibility into like your strength. When your biggest weakness becomes your greatest asset, man, look out. Because you're positioned to be such a great example.
You're uniquely qualified.
Yeah.
I like the way you put that. I mean, that does make sense because we all are unique in every way possible. Like we came here born perfect and we'll die perfect, so the only difference is that we just grew up believing these lies. That's the book, The Voice of Knowledge. We grew up being these lies, and we got to get rid of those lies about ourselves and who we think our story is. When we realize that that's not the case, that we're writing the story at every moment because we're the writer, the director, the producer of the whole story. So when the story is right now, this is us right here in 2024, March 11th. This is our story up till now. Now tomorrow is going to be a whole new chapter, and it's going to be a whole new story, a whole new scenario, a whole new vision, a whole new experience like you're doing. And I think that's what you're seeing by doing this and documenting it too. Is obviously people tune into the channel to see your experience.
I think some people are turning in because they want to see a hiking channel.
It went from a Awaken Ave to a hiking channel.
Yeah.
But I think they go hand in hand, and only the main reason is because of the 10 experience. Well, that's what I think really pulled it all together.
They do go hand in hand, and it doesn't matter what it is, right? It's like, however somebody gets the message right, even if it's sleight of hand, like. Maybe if they're there, like I need to find out what kind of backpack I need, and all of a sudden they hear something that they didn't know they needed to hear. So right. It's like, but I'm not. You never know, man. Like I didn't get sober or come into recovery out of virtue, right? It's not like I want to be a better person. I'm gonna go, dude. I did it to get out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to look good for the job. So, and I get the message wherever I'm at, right? So it's like, so it's the same thing. But it is, the Awakened Ab is really, I still don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with it, and maybe it's not about me. It's like we talked about earlier. Maybe I'm supposed to go out on the trail. Maybe I'm supposed to meet some person and somehow we have a conversation and they come on my channel and tell their story and it has absolutely nothing to do with me, and then that person shares their story and maybe that elevates them, or maybe somebody in some other place in Oregon. Comes to my channel. Here's this person's story, and it changes their life.
100%.
Don't know.
No, it definitely does work out that way, because it's happened for me just in certain channels that I've watched on YouTube, and I've got turned on to other people, and I'm just like, oh shit, like I never would have listened to this guy unless he wasn't on this guy's show. Now I see like he resonates with me, so I listen to him more often now. So it's the same thing that you're doing, and the same thing with everything else that we're doing is putting it out there in the ether so that people can hear it and go, oh shit, like that's pretty cool. Like he's doing that. I always thought about doing that. Maybe I'll try it. And like you said, it's the awakened part of it. It's seeing it for what it really is. It's crazy.
Well, and I have a beautiful life, man. So it's really weird, like, because I'm so blessed. I've been on this tent and just enjoying the experience. And then it's funny how we can trust that intuition and God or the universe, right? And like I'm totally God reliant and surrendering to the moment, and then and trusting going out on the Appalachian.
So I think Apple.
Yeah.
Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, this woman corrected my pronunciation. So
that was her role.
Yeah, beautiful, man. A beautiful moment. So it's like, but I can trust that, and I can trust that people come. I don't need to raise my hand, and I'm practicing like that. Everything's divine, trying to teach me something. Yeah. But then once I make this decision to go do the trail. Yeah. I forget all about that, and I'm like, now I'm playing it, right? And and then you realize, I'm like, I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure out what I need to wear, where I need to go, and so immediately that quick we can drift back to mind and into suffering and
worry and all that.
And poor me and I'm not prepared, and it's and I'm human too, man, I'm much more aware and much more easier for me to let go and come back to what is in reality, the now moment. But don't get it twisted, man. I could still go down the rabbit hole.
Well, I noticed when you were doing the tent thing and that rain was out of control, and you were you weren't prepared for it. And you were like, oh shit, And then just the next day you're like, oh, we had a little problem last night, but you fixed it. And you made the pitch of the tent, because it was all about just the process.
Well, it is. It really is.
Because I wouldn't have thought about it was going to pour that bad. It was going to get that.
The message is so simple that you could be happy or content in any situation, regardless of the circumstance, right? Yeah. And I want to show that.
Yeah, you did.
So
you definitely did.
But then I realized, I haven't been happy and content, trying to figure out this trail, right? It's but so getting to the trail to me is the easy part. Being uncomfortable, being okay. I don't even see happiness. It's contentment, right? It's being content. I think some lady even messaged. I loved it, man. She's like, I'm like, I can be content in any situation, and she wrote me a message. She's like, intent on being content in a tent. And I'm like, yes, that's beautiful, man. Because it's really that. It's doesn't matter if I'm digging a ditch or fixing a water leak or it's up to me. I'm in charge of my mood, man.
It is. That's
not anything external. My happiness or contentment isn't dependent upon the weather today. And I say that. But if it's 30 degrees and raining on the trail, and I'm wet for 3 days, we'll see how we'll see if I can put this together.
Exactly, if you can keep plugging through, and see how much farther you can push yourself. That's all. That's really all it is. That's it. I think the timing's good for you. I think the weather will be decent as far as as you progress. I mean, we're into March now, so it'll start to warm up a little bit, so it might not be too bad, but.
Eventually, I think so. I finally looked at the weather today, and I'm planning on leaving tomorrow, right? I might leave Wednesday now, but I looked at the weather for the first time today. It's 25, 20, 25, 20, for the next week, right? It's so it's maybe the highs of 45 or 50 and the lows of 20, right? So you're up in a mountain, man. And it's so for at least the next, they said you could still get snow in April in the Smokies, so at least till probably I don't know, man. I'm taking a random throw a dart here because I've never been on the trail. The weather's gonna be great out there. And it's I don't know, man.
I have no idea, dude.
But You know, I'm prepared, man, as best I can. And I do trust that that's where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, no, it'll be good for you. It'll be good. It'll like you said, it doesn't matter how far you get. It's just the experience of doing it. You know, like you said, you can just turn around and go, you know what, I'm going home. I'm gonna rent a car and go back.
Listen,
you know?
when you have been like humbled in your life a few times.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong.
I'm not trying to win over the crowd, man.
And that's Forrest Gump didn't try to win over the crowd either, man, but they followed him.
He did his best.
Yeah.
In every situation, regardless of the circumstances. It's really
that's
simple.
What it is. That's what you got to do.
It's really just
people you meet along the way. You might have somebody you start going with and follow the same trail together. And you're like,
it's being kind and loving people. Yeah. It's thinking. The paradox of everything is right. If you feel like you're not getting something, at least me. If I feel like I'm lacking attention or affection, I'm not getting it, right? Or if I feel like I need to, it's always, what can I give 100%, 100% of the time with no attachment to the outcome, and then I keep getting blessed, right? As soon as I need to get some for me, then I suffer a little bit.
You're right. That makes total sense. Well, I think it's going to be good for you, man. I think you're going to have some fun with it.
Are we almost done already?
Yeah, we're almost at like an hour already. Yeah.
Are we really?
Yeah, 56 minutes.
Holy crap.
Man, I'm at 20. I'm almost to the second half hour. Yeah.
We didn't take a break. Usually we take a break.
No, well, my thing stopped recording in the middle there for some reason.
Oh, did it?
The laptop. I don't know why, so I'm going to have to go back and edit it. But it's no big deal.
Well, I mean, I can always send you this anyway, and you could upload it on Rumble or something like that.
Yeah. I can do that too. So yeah, once we get to that, I'll put this on Spotify.
So you don't know, well, here we are talking about.
Yeah.
Did you lose anything?
I'll figure it out when I get it. Yeah, I don't think we lost anything though, so it'll be good. I'll piece it together.
But this is really cool for me, man, because it's it is about knowing if my message has changed or how much I've transitioned over time, right? And to know it's so crazy because when we first talked about this, I don't know, when was it, September or something like that when we were talking about it?
Yeah.
It was
end of August,
It was I'm trusting the universe, but I don't know what it's gonna look like, and I went from no followers, a crazy scripted video to 840 some subscribers, and I don't know if that's a lot.
That's a lot for the amount of time you've been doing it. It's a lot because I followed people's stories from the beginning of their pages, and it took them a good while to get up to 10,000-12,000 subscribers.
Yeah, so it's more important to me. It's it's the people that have I think
it's the interaction is what it comes down to. That's what I get from the other.
So as much as you're surprised by the people that don't,
that don't pay attention, they are because I know there's people that I know listen to TGI now.
Listen,
podcasts,
I know that
I know they're listening.
People are fundamentally
they.
What's crazy is I heard from somebody that you never thought you would, right? Somebody in law enforcement, right? That I hadn't seen in a long time, that I am publicly embarrassed at depart. You know what I'm saying? You feel and this person reached out to me and I said, hey man, I'm following your journey. I just want to tell you, I'm not doing very well myself. And it's you were a great cop, you were, and it was wow, man. It's so the people that, it's not so much the people that don't, it's the people that, you never know.
Exactly.
Man.
There's the people you never know that are suffering. And I use the local pediatrician in town that he was suffering. So why did he do what he did? He was suffering and he didn't know who to talk to. And so then you inspire people to say, I'm gonna reach out to Howie.
And you know how hard it is for people to reach out.
Especially when you have your persona, you don't want to. That's ego.
So when somebody does reach out, that is a powerful example of saying
I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, and that was beautiful. I mean, it doesn't matter who doesn't. It's about the ones that do, right? Exactly. It's going to fall upon the ears that it needs to hear.
You're right. It's going to fall upon the ears that it needs to hear. I like that too. That's a good one. There's some good lines that we put in this podcast. I'm going to go back and listen. I'll use it for a description too. And I know you come up with good descriptions for your shows, so I'm sure you'll have a good one for this one. So
wish me luck, everybody.
Yeah, wish you luck.
I don't believe in luck, so just wish me a good journey a journey.
You're just the universe look out for him and say a prayer for Howie and the 22-degree weather up in the mountains. But I think it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to watching it. I've enjoyed watching your journey already with the tent and with the channel. So this is just one more step, and that's why I wanted to do this podcast with you. so that you can kick this off like you kicked off your channel, and then when you get back, we'll do another.
Oh, and we got a lot of things we're gonna. We're moving in that direction, man. You know, it's a cool ride, man.
It is.
Full circle from how many years? 30-some years.
Like since 1980,
almost 40.
Since 1986.
Almost 40
maybe
years.
40 years soon. Yeah, man.
38 years. 38 years.
Right, 38 years. You know, we've seen a lot. You know, we crossed paths eventually again, and then came back around.
A lot of stories in that 38 years.
Yeah, you know, and helping each other wake up. I think that's the biggest form that people can come from, is that how we helped each other wake up to certain
things. And that's
things.
how we met 38 years ago, knowing that we would be helping each other
now.
You know.
Because it's just that's how it works. It's crazy. That's the collective dream. That's what we're living.
There are no mistakes in life, man.
No.
Everybody you meet is intentional.
100%, brother. 100%. Well, I'm looking forward to watching the journey. Good luck. You know, I'll keep in touch. I'll shoot you a text every once in a while.
Yeah.
Make sure you're all right. Make sure you're not buried in the snow somewhere. All right, brother. We're at an hour, so I'm gonna wrap this up and.
Appreciate you, man.
And then and we'll go from there, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man.
All right, pal. Yeah, man.
Love you, man.
Yeah, you love you too, bud. All right. Yeah, for some reason the one stopped it.